Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. I could not think of a more fitting quote for the year 2020, said by a man a very long time ago who probably has a fairly bright future when it comes to United States politics. So first and foremost, we're going to go into, well, I think you guys kind of know what that quote was referencing. We got these vaccines that are going to be rolling in the next week or so. Canada's going to be getting some. The United States, according to Trump here, to sign coronavirus vaccine executive order prioritizing Americans over foreign nations. You'll love to see it, and you wish if you guys live in a different country other than the United States. I know a vast majority of my viewers come from Canada as well, so you just wish you had a leader with a backbone up here. Well, at least I do. But what we got here is, well, care of Ben Franklin, the biggest overreaction to one single event in my lifetime. I'd hear arguments for 9/11 starting to 20-year-long wars, but this right now, the curtailing of personal liberty and freedoms, and I can only see it getting worse with the vaccines. I know it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have these vaccines. It's a good thing, like breadlines. Okay, thanks, Bernie. The people who need the vaccines, the old folks, the people who are 70, 80, 90 years old, by all means, get them the vaccine. They are the ones who are most vulnerable. The people with a fucking arm's length full of comorbidities, by all means, vaccinate them because their lives are at risk as much as you can be by the coronavirus. Like, for fuck's sakes, at this point. Christ, guys. Quarantine them, vaccinate them, whatever the fuck you need to. That's fine. I don't care. I understand. And hey, if you guys are terrified by this disease, first and foremost, do some fucking reading. That might settle your nerves a little bit. But if you want to get the vaccine once it's available to everybody, which probably is going to be by the end of the year at the rate that this shit is going, by all means, feel free to get vaccinated. If you want to, I will not tell you to do so otherwise, because you know your health better than I do. Your doctor knows it better than I do. I am just a guy in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen just telling you how much I hate lockdowns and the curtailing of personal freedoms. But let's see what's going to be happening in the United States here after Trump signs this executive order. So President Trump is expected to sign an executive order Tuesday that will ensure all Americans have access to the coronavirus vaccine before the United States government begins aiding nations around the world. Fox News has learned. Senior administration officials told Fox News Monday that the president will re-emphasize to the American people that the priority has been an American-first approach. Well, when it was your program, Operation Warp Speed, that facilitated the expedited process of these vaccines, don't you think, the thing that you made, you probably have first dibs on? But I can already hear the screeching sounds of the squad running around. Communism. Exactly. No, look after your own first. But Trump is like, I don't know. I've already had it. They tell me maybe I'm immune forever. But then when I got it, they said that I was immune for 4 months. I don't know. Take care of yourself first, and then you help everybody else. I appreciate the approach. I wish more countries had strong leaders like Trump. Like it or not, I know I'm Canadian. You guys know that. I wish our leader was as Canada first, as their nation first, as Trump is about America. You get the reference? I wish that they'd actually look after their own first before, trying to suck the globalist dick. That's just one man's opinion. The news of the executive order comes just days ahead of the FDA's Thursday meeting regarding Pfizer and BioNTech's application for emergency authorization of the coronavirus vaccine 3 weeks after the company filed for it. The FDA also plans to meet on December 17th to discuss Moderna's vaccine, a day after the electors are supposed to meet. Keep that in mind. I don't know if it's going to mean much, but I seen that, and it makes me a little bit cautious. It's going to be weird. A source close to the White House Coronavirus Task Force told Fox News last week, always whenever they use these fucking anonymous sources, we'll take this with a grain of salt, because I haven't seen anything about this executive order become finalized anywhere. I was looking prior to this article right here, but this is more like window dressing to actually get to the main event. So, the Pfizer-BioNTech authorization could come as early as Friday. FDA Commissioner Stephen Hahn last week said they are very hopeful of approval, that they are moving very quickly, very, very quickly. Priority is to make sure we distribute these vaccines to Americans before we start shipping them around the world to get international access, an official told Fox News, predicting that international assistance could come late spring, early summer, and after they are achieving vaccinating those who have a desire to be vaccinated. So they're going to be looking after the United States before they look after everybody else, and that makes sense. But that is only in regards to the Pfizer and BioNTech, whatever, the fucking Germans, whatever it is, it's just that one. There's also the Moderna, the Johnson & Johnson vaccines as well, and the Pfizer one is the most, at least we don't know a whole lot about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but the Pfizer one is the one that has to be kept at like Antarctic temperature levels, whereas the Moderna one just needs to be normally refrigerated. So that one's probably going to be the one that's going to be more accessible to other countries around the world. I'm just speculating that one. That just kind of makes sense in my head. So that kind of leads into Canada and that half-shaven pussy that's right there front and center. I said front and center, not in the bottom right-hand corner. Fuck you. Breaking: Canada will receive 249,000 Pfizer vaccines as early as next week. Interesting. He must have cut a deal with the United States in order to get 250,000 vaccines. Canada has a population of nearly 40 million people. It's a start. And he's, already killed off a bunch of old people. So, that's probably going to be enough throughout the end of the year. At a press conference Monday morning, Justin Trudeau managed to stop playing Mario Kart long enough with Jagmeet Singh to announce that Canada could receive a delivery of 249,000 doses of Pfizer's vaccine as early as next week. And I think that one you also have to get updated too. And by that, I mean you get your initial vaccination and then 2 or 3 weeks later, you have to get a booster for it. I think that's how this one works, or at least that's how it worked at some point during its testing. And it already says that right there, so I'm glad I can remember things you can trust on with your news. The Pfizer version of the 2-dose vaccine, Canada would need another 249,000 within 3 weeks of the first dose. Otherwise, you're only going to be something like 60 to 70% vaccinated, which is about the same as the coma. Nobody ends up in a coma. Come on now. Fucking barely anybody's dropping dead from this shit anymore. No, from the coma. The common flu, the regular seasonal flu, okay? The flu vaccine for, your seasonal flu is only 66% effective. This will move us forward on the whole timeline of the vaccine rollout and is positive development in getting Canadians protected as soon as possible, said Trudeau, and I'm sure he apologized before and after making that statement. We are facing the largest immunization in the history of our country. I don't like when he says we're doing anything as a whole country because this dude is globalist to his bones. From stiletto heel to the top of his head, this dude is 100% party of Davos. While vaccines are on the horizon, they cannot protect you if you get COVID-19 now. I know you might have a runny nose for a couple of days. I know this winter will be hard, especially with the holidays fast approaching, so please don't see your loved ones because safety is far more important. Do remember that Ben Franklin quote. But we're coming into the final miles of this crisis, and if he had it his way, it would be this crisis forever and ever and ever, because he wants you scared, because if you're on the government tit, you will more than likely vote Liberal, and that's what he wants. And if it wasn't for those fucking morons out east, and university campuses, double your substitute teacher ass would be back in the back bench so frickin' quick. But when I hear things like countrywide immunizations, and I can do basic math and figure out that 249,000 doses is not even close. But also, we have good testing around here, but it's a bitch to actually figure out any of the numbers, the actual case totals, because as we know, thanks to CNN's breaking exclusive, China wasn't exactly upfront with all of their numbers, and you would never actually know prior to about when did rapid testing come in Canada. I would say, especially up here where I'm at, you couldn't get a accurate quick test, and even still the tests are like 50 to 60% accurate half the time. So 29% of the time they work 100% of the time. No, we're just never going to know how many cases happened prior to about summertime. And like I showed, I think last week it was like 65% of deaths were actually in long-term care facilities. So like I've always stated, we've got the facts here. Nobody should be scared out of their fucking tree. But what you should be scared of are people pushing this narrative. Okay, this is an opinion piece, but the slippery slope has already been enacted, you know? Wear a mask. Biden wants you to wear a mask for 100 days after his inauguration, apparently. Why, if everybody's getting vaccinated? Or, yes, your boss can fire you if you refuse to get a COVID vaccine. This is what I'm seeing, okay? There won't be a federal mandate. And especially if there's Trump, he'll just be like, yeah, whatever, just fucking take care of yourself. But no, Biden will be like, oh, okay, only on federal land you have to wear a mask. Okay, we can't mandate you to do anything else, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get all the governors together in this big fucking room, and then if that doesn't work, I'll get all the mayors together in an even larger room. And I'm sure he won't trip over anybody's chair. A fucking frail old cunt. But no, these mandates aren't going to be coming from the government. It's kind of like all these encroachments on your personal security and all of your personal freedoms aren't really coming from the government anymore. If you think about it, where does it all come from? Okay? Where does political correctness creep in more and more? Comes in your job, the way that you communicate with people through big tech, through, appealing to others. I guess the best way to put it is you think that you aren't trying to offend anybody unnecessarily, so you're just going to use the most innocuous terms until you start to know them a little bit better. But when you're out in public, you aren't going to normally say that kid at the supermarket sure is acting retarded pulling spaghetti off of the shelf. No, these little encroachments happen one step at a time. And when you start fucking around with people's means of earning a living, they tend to go along with the current. And while this is just an opinion piece that we're going to take a look at, I think it's going to be the future here next year. I'm just thinking about it. So the country's first COVID vaccine could be authorized for an emergency use as soon as Thursday. If Pfizer and BioNTech get the green light, distribution is set to begin within days. But as difficult as research, development, and distribution stages have been, some experts argue the hardest part of fighting the virus is actually what comes next, convincing the U.S. population to take the vaccine. Roughly 4 in 10 Americans say they would definitely or probably not get the vaccine. Well, you know what? According to a recent survey by Pew Research Center. I wonder what the percentage of anti-vaxxers out there, those are the people, yeah, you know who I mean. The fucking, polio vaccine gives your kids autism or whatever the fuck they think. Well, if it's Bill Gates' vaccine, it actually gives you polio. So, but Pew Research is normally pretty good when it comes to polls. So we'll just go ahead and say, 40% of people would rather have a much more researched vaccine and realize that COVID's not that fucking big of a deal and you guys are just making a mountain out of a molehill. But anyways, we continue. While this is higher than it was 2 months ago, to achieve herd immunity, experts say that about 60% or 70% of the population, it used to be 60%, that's why I fucked up on that one, needs to be vaccinated or have natural antibodies. Employers, however, may not be taking no for an answer. Couple of my corporate clients are leaning towards making the COVID vaccine mandatory, said Roj Rogi, probably Rogi Dunn considering he's from Texas. Labor and employment attorney, specializes in slavery apparently. His clients range from companies in manufacturing to food and beverage industries that have been battered for months due to the pandemic and government-mandated lockdowns. A vaccine promises employees to return to some form of normal, which is desperately needed as businesses look to recover profits. Mandating the vaccine in the workplace. One of Dunn's clients is a restaurant sector, thinks a compulsory inoculation requirements could be a game changer for businesses. They think it gives them a competitive advantage, explained Dunn. They say to their customers, hey, our restaurant is safe. All of our employees have been vaccinated. Well, okay, I already see a hole in that theory, but not many people are going to think this way. So just indulge me for a moment. Just because you're vaccinated, you can still transmit the disease. That's the entire point of wearing the masks, apparently. The masks don't protect you. They protect others because you can be carrying the disease. You can be asymptomatic and you can still spread it out there. So wearing a mask is going to save a life. Yeah, we get it. So even if people are vaccinated, this is the line that they're putting out right now. Okay, everybody's been vaccinated. But eventually when they realize that, all the fear's kind of drying up and they're going to be losing all of their unconstitutional powers, all of a sudden it's going to be, hey, even if you're vaccinated, you should probably still wear a mask because you can still spread the disease. just keep that one in the back of your head. You can see that one coming. It's a little dot off there in the distance right now, but it's there. It may be in part a PR tactic, but Dunn said it is totally within the employer's rights to implement this kind of requirement. Is it now? This is just one fucking lawyer's opinion, by the way. Under the law, an employer can force an employee to get vaccinated, and if they don't take it, fire them, said Dunn. I remember. Do you guys remember? I remember getting, I think it was, hepatitis shots? It was something like that in grade school. We all got them, but you had to take a permission slip home in order to get the vaccinations. Those are diseases that actually have long-lasting symptoms and can cause structural damage in your body, so you'd understand wanting to vaccinate yourself from that. Oh, but you can get scarring on your lungs because of COVID. How many people get that? Exactly. So I'd love to know what law the plantation owner has to cite on this one. Dorrit Rice, a professor at the University of California Hastings College of Law, said that private businesses have pretty extensive rights. Requiring a vaccine as a health and safety work rule, and employers can do that, said Rice. Take the healthcare system. Dr. Hannah El Sali, who oversees a clinical trial for Moderna's vaccine candidate, believes hospitals could eventually make COVID inoculation a condition of employment, similar to how the annual influenza vaccine is required of all medical staff. Yeah, because they aren't trying to spin anything there. They don't want their doctors to get sick. And when you're dealing with these sick people all the fucking time, that one makes sense, okay? Because there actually are sanitary standards that hospitals follow, or at least are supposed to follow, but anybody who's ever worked in the food service industry kind of knows that that doesn't necessarily follow them over there, even though it's supposed to. Let's finish this article here. There are, however, a few notable exceptions to this kind of blanket requirement. If a workforce is unionized, exactly. This was the only thing that was kind of in the back of my skull on this one. The collective bargaining agreement that may require negotiating with the union before mandating a vaccine. Even though most unions are hardcore Democratic supporters, if you see something like this come in and like your dock workers union, your culinary unions, the Teamsters or whatever, if they bend the knee to this one, you know that something is seriously fucked up, because you cannot force those people to fucking change anything. So you'd like to think that the unions probably have one last good measure in them, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Anti-discrimination laws also provide some protections. Oh, exactly, but small businesses or private businesses have a bunch of fucking rules and regulations that actually help them. Yeah, shut up, stupid bitch. Workers who don't want to be vaccinated for medical reasons are eligible to request an exemption. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not getting something. Nobody's mandating fucking putting something into my body. I'm pretty sure that's a constitutional right, by the way, duh. In this case, an employer would have to provide reasonable accommodations, such as allowing the employee to work remotely. Or if enough people don't want to work for this fucking little tyrant, guess what? Suck a dick, your business closes. Because most of them are teetering on staying open. Under the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act in 1964, if taking the vaccine is a violation of the sincerely held religious belief, they too would potentially be able to opt out. And that's also what I was thinking as well. Obviously, we don't have the Civil Rights Act of 64 up here in Canada, but we had a few Jehovah's Witnesses, and they did not get vaccinated because I think the big spaghetti monster forbids them or whatever from also celebrating birthdays as well. It's a fucking weird religion, people. Not quite as weird as Mormonism with their magic underpants, but to each their own, I suppose. Yeah, I could see this happening, okay? I could see a bunch of big businesses, humanitarian organizations like Coca-Cola, Apple, Nike, mandating all of their sales staff or all of their office workers that they need to be vaccinated. And then I can also see it blowing up in their faces. So I just want you guys to be aware of this. People are floating this idea out there, and just like they were floating the idea of the Great Reset, and all of a sudden, oh my God, people are learning about this. Oh my God, no, it's a conspiracy theory. Right wing, Proud Boys. Exactly, when in doubt, just pull the fucking Proud Boys alarm. But yeah, be aware of that. And also, if you're scared of this coof, relief is on the way, I suppose. Anyways, guys, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.